It's been very difficult in my community lately because we've had massive floods, and this beautiful hall that I've been teaching in for the last few years was, the building was damaged, the floods came quite high up, and the internet access was destroyed, not to mention a whole bunch of other things. But that's actually nothing compared to what happened in the local area. You know, the whole of eastern coast of Australia has been hammered by massive storms and massive flooding, and it's now moved down to Sydney. But in the last week, the community I live in, which is the easterlymost point of Australia near Byron Bay, was devastated, really devastated. In some places there's been 14 to 17 meters deep water. Thousands of people have lost their homes, lost everything in fact. But I'm even more concerned about the people who cannot be accessed. You know, I thought that living in a flood-prone area was dangerous, but the wonderful people who helped me have this space, Kristen and Jason, they live in Wilson's Creek, which is a place a little bit in the hills. You'd think the hills are not going to get affected by floods. But what happened in their area was half of a mountain collapsed. The landslide that came as a result destroyed lots of things, including houses. And their next door neighbor, Heather, a beautiful woman who I spent Christmas Day with, was killed when the whole house was crushed by the side of a mountain coming down on her. And she's one of, many stories where people have lost their lives. Many people are still stranded out there. They've got no access to food or supplies, and the roads probably won't be fixed for ages. Many bridges are out. So what I wanted to do was invite all my friends, people all around the world, maybe, and I want to do this meditative practice. And you're welcome to be here for free. I didn't want to charge anything for it, but I have started a GoFundMe campaign, and the link should be available here. If you don't have it for some reason, write to me. And if anyone has anything they can contribute, it would be greatly appreciated. It's going to take hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild what the community has lost and to rebuild many people's lives. So I'm going to start this class in a moment, and write to me if you want afterwards. The floods have destroyed the internet. I thought it was fixed, but maybe not. Even telecommunications, telephone was down for days. No one knew what was happening. The communities come together to help everyone stranded and, covered in mud and covered in water, but we need more help. So if all you can do is be in this session and do some of the meditative practices and give some thoughts for the people who have lost so much, that would be great. I'd like you to enjoy this practice, and I do this type of practice to create a sense of good energy and loving information inside your body. The purpose of this practice is to reset your nervous system while making blood flow in a very effective way without your heart rate increasing. And to me it's yoga, but actually for many people it looks like something like what they know to be maybe qigong or Tai Chi or something like this, But I've had teachers from Japan and China and Tibet and all over the world, and I'm a physiotherapist. So I'm going to give you what I call 5-dimensional flow. And I'm going to teach you and then practice with you 12 smooth flowing meditative practices, which are very easy, very accessible. Basically, the concept is all movement starts from the core. I'm going to take my shirt off so you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about the core. The core is the region between the navel and the pubic bone, inside, between the top of the hips and the tailbone, inside, between the diaphragm and the pelvic floor, inside. It's the point where in China they call it the dantian, in Japan it's called the center of the hara or the tanden, in India they call it the khanda, between Swadhisthana and Manipura chakra, and in the indigenous cultures all over the world they have names for it. In the local indigenous people where I live in Australia, they call it the nadu kuru, and everyone knows that all movement should start, all activity should start from this. So up here we have the thinking brain, and this is the action brain, the gut brain, the enteric nervous system. Around it is the immune, digestive and reproductive system, and there's also a whole bunch of muscles. Most people get obsessed with locking the core. I'm going to ask you to move from the core, to move actively, to move from the core, to breathe naturally or breathe from the core, and to move fluidly, gracefully. So the core is the smallest, tiny form of what essentially is your trunk. And the trunk is like a manifestation of your spine. And the core will move into 5 dimensions. When we talk about dimensions, they're possibilities. Like in a room, we have length and breadth and height. But dimensions are qualities. So we have the possibility for the spine, everyone knows, to bend forward and backward. I call that the fire dimension. We have the possibility of the spine and trunk to bend sideways, and that's called the water dimension, like the waves moving back and forth. We also have the possibility of twisting the spine and trunk, and I call that the air dimension, like a tornado. And there's also the possibility of shortening and lengthening your trunk and spine, which is always made easier to do if you don't just lift up your trunk, but you also lift your shoulders while dropping the hips. I call this the earth dimension. It joins earth to sky. And the other dimension is called the ether dimension, because the trunk, which is the larger form of the spine, is in one way, is possible and able to expand and contract. So what you'll see me doing is expanding my back, then expanding my front, and then contracting my lower abdomen, pushing the back, then contracting my front. You'll see me doing a lot of this, where I'm engaging my lower abdomen. You hear people talking about it a lot. They say, engage the lower abdomen. So there's my relaxed baby belly. It looks ugly, but I'm pulling in the lower abdomen without affecting the upper abdomen. Then I can expand the chest and look semi-normal. But it's a mistake to lock the core. So some people simply tighten the core by pulling the navel to the spine using exhalation muscles. These muscles of forced exhalation, the oblique muscles, will actually cause stress. If you're inappropriately tightening your core and you cannot breathe into your abdomen, you'll find it causes stress, which will actually turn off your immune system, reproductive, digestive system, and it will inhibit blood flow and make your heart race. The subconscious dominant emotions in those cases will be fear, anger, aggression, lack of safety. What we need is the world to come together. If the world can come together, we can stop war, we can stop suffering, but people have to come together inside themselves first. So this is a practice that I've been working on for 50 years. And it's something that I really want to share with you. And it's a practice where you'll move from the core and breathe from the core and move fluidly and gracefully. It doesn't have to be big movements, but you'll hopefully feel by the end of it that you can feel warmth between your hands that might even manifest as energy. Just feel your hands. Go a little bit apart with the hands and just see if you can feel heat between the hands. Move one hand up and one hand down. Do you feel an absence of the heat? Maybe, maybe not. I want you to feel this now, compare it later. Because when the energy has been manifested inside you with good blood flow, you can almost feel it like a magnet between the hands. So let's begin. I do the practice in two ways. The first part of the practice I'll be explaining and doing with you, and the second part of the practice I won't explain, we'll just do like a a practice, so a meditative practice. So the trick is not to over-tense or overstretch or over-breathe or overthink. So I want you to face me if you're joining this practice. Face me. You can, if you wish, do it sitting on a chair, but it's more effective standing up. For some people, it's hard to stand up. Better to be sitting on a chair, but you get better effect standing up. What I'd like you to do is face me, but I'm turning sideways. And while I'm turning sideways, you can see a better angle of what I'm doing. Sometimes I face sideways. Sometimes I face the front. Sometimes I'll face away from you. Sometimes I'll face towards you. I'm not talking about left and right in this situation. Some of you will be seeing me in a mirror image and some not. So what I'd like you to do is you pick which side you want to copy and just copy according to how you wish. I'll try not to say move to left or right. I'll just say move to one side and the other. Okay, so when we begin first, the movement that I'm going to teach you first is called the Earth Sun movement. Sun movements are the movements where the shoulders and the hips roll forward. So let's explore the shoulders and the hips. Can you see my hips are going back up over my heels, down over my toes. Up over my heels, down over the toes. You can try that if you wish. I'll call that a rolling forward action, and I'll call that a sun movement. It tends to expend energy, give energy on the outside. Now, the same with the shoulders. I want you to gently bring your shoulders backward, upward, forward, downward. And as the shoulders are rolling forward like this, make sure you do it without tension. Don't tense up. This is also, I'll call rolling forwards, and it generates a sun movement. Now, it's possible to also roll the shoulders in opposite forms. So when I'm rolling, you can try this with me if you like. It's a little bit like a bicycle pedaling forward, or like a forward stroke swimming. So we'll call this the forward rolling, and it's a sun movement. I call it the sun movement. It expends energy. But the possibility exists to also have moon movements, which go the opposite way. So try these ones. Start with your knees a bit bent. Bring the weight of your hips over the toes. Then come up, knees almost straight with the weight over your middle of feet. Then go down over your heels and then back to the middle of the feet. Come up on your toes, go down on your heels. Don't lead with your tailbone. Lead with your lower back around the L5-S1. When we're going up, lead with your pubic bone. When we're going down, lead with the lower back. And this movement we'll call a backward rolling. And the same with the shoulders. So go shoulders forward, upward, backward, downward. This is a backward rolling. And if we do it with opposite arms, it's a little bit like what we could call backward stroke pedaling on a bicycle or backward stroke swimming. And I want these movements to be very, very gentle when we do them. I don't want you to force or overdo. Only do as much as you comfortably can. We want to try and enter what we could call the zone or the flow state of the elite athlete, which is really the true form of the meditative state. Meditation is not something which you can really achieve easily by sitting on a chair or the floor. And for most modern people, it's not even good for you to sit in the chair or the floor. The real meditative master is someone who can sit naked in the snow and get warm. And that's a very important aspect of meditation. You must move blood. And it's hard to move blood without the heart racing, but the essence of the meditative state and the healthiest sort of movements are those which move blood without the heart racing. The same cardiovascular effect that exercise often gives, but less emphasis on the cardio and more on the vascular. The same relaxation that meditation tends to give, but most people's meditation, when seated, doesn't move blood. When you do both at the same time, it's the epitome of perfect health. Some of these exercises are taught to be a practice by my teacher's teacher, and he's 118 years old. So, thank you to Master Zhen Hua Yang and his grandfather who teaches him these exercises and has shared a lot with me over the last 15 years. And thank you to all my teachers. Let's begin. The Earth-Sun movement. So each of the movements has two phases, an ascending phase and a descending phase with the hips. So when you go up, I'll call it expansion. When you go down, I'll call it depression. Okay, so expansion going up, contraction going down. And so notice that the two phases are always there, and whether you're sitting or not, You'll hear me say expand and contract, and that can be done easiest by lifting and lowering the hips and shoulders, but you can also expand the back and the front of the body as well if you're able to. Okay, so let's go a bit slower at the start. And the sun movement. Come up on the heels, then expand the back, come up from the front of the body, and if you're comfortably able to, lift the arms up. Go down on your toes and come down to the middle of the feet. Come up on the heels and expand the pelvic floor, lower back, upper back. Expand the chest, expand the abdomen. Go down on the toes, push in the back, contract the chest and abdomen. Now come and open your arms a little bit. Lengthen your fingers. To reset the nervous system, connect with the parts of the body which have dual control. Those parts of the body, like the diaphragm, which you can control consciously and unconsciously. Just going through these places, which I'll group into 6, can really help reset the nervous system and can really help at times of trauma. So 1 is lengthen the fingertips, but check the fingers can move. So you move the fingers like playing a piano if possible, without tension in the hand, lengthened and relax. This helps you access your nervous system, but it also helps move blood. Stop the fingers. The second one is the shoulders. Check that the shoulders are moving apart from each other and away from the base of the neck. And then check the shoulders can gently roll. Not to stretch, but to roll. So I could make them bigger, but I want you to make them actually smaller. So you're experiencing freedom. And we can roll them either forward or backward or alternating backward and forward, just as long as they're free to move. And this resets your nervous system and it moves blood. The third place is the neck. So I want you to adjust your neck by bringing the head down and the neck back, jaw relaxed, that lengthens the back of the neck. I want you to expand your belly and move your throat forward, chin up, forehead relaxed. And then just that lengthens the front of the neck. I want you to lengthen the back and the front of the neck, then check the neck is free. So to check the neck is free, you could move the chin in a little infinity sign without stretching. I'm not moving so far it feels stretch. It's a little bit to establish freedom. And I could also bring a little circle with my chin like this, also to experience freedom. Okay. The fourth place you need to relax is the pelvic floor. So relax the pelvic floor, opening it up as much as you comfortably can. I know many people teach tighten the pelvic floor, but for resetting the nervous system, you want to always feel relaxed. In fact, whenever you're breathing in, you want to feel the anal mouth opening. When you're breathing out, still relax, but if comfortable, gently pull the lower abdomen in. That's difficult for most people to do. You'll see me do it, but I recommend just think, relax your abdomen. Always check you can breathe there, breathe naturally. And so to help you relax the pelvic floor, stand, still facing me, I'm turning sideways so you can see, and just roll the pelvis. So find that rolling action. And when the pelvis is free to roll like this, and you release the pelvic floor, it not only moves blood, but it helps reset the nervous system to that default state of parasympathetic dominance, the state where we permeate with love and peace and safety and trust. Then the fifth place is to lengthen the lower back, unsquash it. That's why I say bend the knees a little bit, drop the sitting bones, and then breathe into the abdomen and let the air come out by itself, natural breathing like when you're asleep, or if comfortable, roll the abdomen. So you see my abdomen is going in softly, see there's no tension, and out. I'm rolling it. So when you see me do that, it's enough for you just to think, that sign of Simon rolling his abdomen means just breathe naturally, like you do in your most regenerative cycle, your sleep. Okay? The sixth place is the face. And with the face, I want you to really relax your face by connecting with the parts of your body in your face which have dual control, accessing through conscious mind and unconscious. One, of course, is the salivary apparatus. Make saliva. Swallow it. Good. Another is the jaw. Gently move your jaw, free it up. Do the same with your lips. Free them up. People who are tense have tense jaw and lips. So by moving them, it brings blood back to the brain and it also calms your nervous system down. Then the next one is to blink. So just blink a couple of times. Someone who is stressed will not blink at all. So it's important you consciously occasionally blink. And then same with the eyes. Make the eyes look up, down, left, right. Maybe move the eyes in a circle clockwise and anti-clockwise. In your deeper sleep, if you notice, if you open the eyes of someone who's deeply asleep, the eyes are going upward. So I'll eventually ask you to make the eyes look up while the forehead softens and looks down. So these things, when I say relax the face, try and think of those things. And it doesn't matter if you don't get it all. You can eventually watch this practice over and over again. So let's do it in 8 different positions, the main positions of the trunk of the first 4 dimensions. So the first dimension is the earth dimension, and it goes from short trunk to long trunk. So go. Fingers can move, shoulders can roll, neck is free, pelvic floor relaxed, back lengthened, abdomen can breathe or roll, and the face relaxed and able to move. Then you do the same thing in the lengthened part of the earth dimension. So come up as high as you can with your shoulders and arms, drop the sitting bones down. And then check again these 6 places. 1, lengthen your fingers, check they can move. 2, lift the shoulders as high up, forward and up as you can, away from the base of the neck, and check the shoulders are gently freed up. 3, check the neck is free. 4, relax the pelvic floor, move the hips a bit. 5, lengthen your lower back. Drop the sitting bones like a weight on a string, which is the spine, and gently move your abdomen or breathe in. And then 6, gently relax your face. And notice if this gets you warm. If it's uncomfortable to lift the arms up, just try to lift the shoulders. It's enough. Okay, but shoulders enough, arms if possible, and then come forward and down. Lovely. That's called the earth dimension. Now we'll do the fire dimension. The fire dimension makes you bend forward first. So if you can, bring collarbone and pubic bone closer. Bend the knees, bend the spine forward. Then expand the belly and move your throat forward, chin up so your eyes stay on me. You want the eyes the same height. Turn your shoulders in and go. Fingers can move. Shoulders can roll, neck is free, pelvic floor relaxed, abdomen can breathe or roll, face relaxed. Then, having shortened the front, now lengthen the front. Make a back bend, pubic bone down, belly button up, collarbone up, shoulders back, turn the shoulders out, and now have the chin in, neck back, so your eyes are on me, and check fingers are lengthened, but they can move, shoulders can roll, neck is free, pelvic floor relaxed, abdomen can breathe, and the face relaxed. And in this position, notice I'm leaning back slightly, but I'm not compressing my back. I'm lifting the collarbone. And notice then the front of my abdomen is firm, but the sides should be jelly soft. And I can breathe there. It's okay to be firm in the abdomen, but you must be calm. In yoga, we say sthira sukham asanam. Soft throat, face and eyes. To come out of this position, always move from the core. So you move the back of the core first, meaning I'm not going to move my shoulders first. I move my lower back, the back of the core. And it moves backward and down. And then I go up and down. And that's the fire dimension, learning how to bend forward and backward. The water dimension is about side bending. So if you drop one hip and lift the same shoulder, and then bring the shoulders apart, perhaps the hands apart, then dropping one hip, lifting one shoulder, this would be enough, but if you want to, you could take the weight fully on one leg. Just make sure that the knees are both safe. You never have to move the hips, and as I said, you could be on a chair. Then again, you can lengthen the fingers, check they can move, shoulders apart, check they can roll, neck free, pelvic floor relaxed, abdomen can breathe or roll, and face relaxed. And then reset, go up and gently down. Then we do the other side. So drop the second hip, lift the second shoulder, lengthen the back of the body, and then take the arms apart. It's enough just to move the shoulders apart. You don't have to lift the arm, but if you can, do. And you can stay with weight on both legs or shift the weight fully to one leg only. Then the opposite leg, I turn in and gently tighten because it's good to make your knees secure. But everything must be relaxed. So think fingers lengthened but can move shoulders apart, shoulders free. Neck lengthened, relax. Pelvic floor relaxed. Abdomen can breathe or roll. And the face relaxed. Then reset. Bring both arms up, both hips down, and go forward and down. That's the water dimension. Now the air dimension of the trunk, spine, and core is to do with twisting. So if you start by first of all gently bending the spine forward, you see from the side. Then from there, to twist, you must happen from the core. So I'm going to move my pubic bone, the bottom of the core, one way, and the navel, the top of the core, the other way. So as they move in opposite directions, that means you're twisting from the core, which is directly between the two. The kanda, the nadu, kuru, the dantien, the hara. And so from there, lengthen the back, twist pubic bone one way and belly button the other way. Make the arms go the same direction as the belly, but look over the shoulder with the ear lifted so you can still see towards me. So you've twisted to one side and your back is lengthened. Now keep twisting to that side and expand the front so the front gets lengthened as well. So you're like me. So you've got pubic bone and thighs twisting one way, belly button and arms twisting the other way. And your head is turning to the direction of the pubic bone. So that way you're twisting your neck as well. Keep your eyes on me. I'll turn sideways so you can see. Check again. Fingers lengthened, but they can move. Shoulders apart, but gently roll. Neck lengthened, neck is free. Pelvic floor relaxed, pelvis can move. Back lengthened, abdomen can breathe or roll. And the face relaxed. Then bring the navel and the arm back to the center and just reset. Expand the back and expand the front. Then narrow the back and narrow the front. Now we twist to the second side. So start with a slight forward bend and take pubic bone and thighs one way and navel arms the opposite way. And lengthen the back of the body. Then expand the front of the body without compressing the back. And if you notice, I'm still looking straight ahead. So I'll turn sideways so you can see. I've got my belly button and arm going to one direction, pubic bone, thighs, and head going in the opposite direction. And the side my head is looking towards, I'm lifting the ears slightly with the chin in, and that prevents my neck squashing. Then I do these 6 things. And when I'm doing these movements, what I do, rather than talking to you later, I make a click sound, which means respond to my click by doing something that I'm doing subject to feeling okay. So move your fingers. Let the shoulders roll. Relax the neck. Release the pelvic floor. Gently breathe into the abdomen or roll it. And relax the face. Then come back, bringing the navel and the opposite arm back to the center. Go down, contract. Expand the back. Expand the front. Contract lower abdomen, push in the back. Contract chest, abdomen, push in the front. You're getting an idea, I think, I hope. And hopefully that makes you feel a little bit warmer without heart racing. It can be very good musculoskeletally as well, because it releases a lot of the joint problems. Without the stress of strong stretching classes, you actually get flexible without feeling stretch. This movement here gives you the same as what the dog pose can give on many levels. This forward bend here is the same as what many forward bends and forward bending balances offer in modern yoga. And this backward bend here gives you the same feeling, front firm, side soft, as what would be happening in, say, an upward facing dog, where also I've got front firm, side soft. And then these movements, which I call the water movements, are essentially the same as these deeper movements you do in yoga classes. And the twisting movements, of course, they're like the movements that you see in many yoga poses, which are twisting as well. These are the simple versions. So many people think when I'm moving like this, it looks like Qigong. But actually, if I move a bit bigger with my legs, a bit deeper, then it looks like yoga. So what is it? Qigong, yoga, it's the same. Qi, prana, It's the same. So find a way of moving good energy and loving information inside your body with me. Now let's start to create the movements. The ether dimension is the one that I'll also include, but won't say too much about, but just know that the ether dimension is to do with expand, contract. And I expand in 5 parts, and I contract in 5 parts. But I'll usually only give 1 or 2 sounds to indicate it. My expansion signal to you is a single click, and my contractional signal to you is a double click. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you don't remember that when I'm doing it later on in the practice. Just copy me, and breathe naturally will work fine. But you'll notice if you're breathing naturally and your body is expanding and contracting, it starts to regulate your breath. The trick is to let the breath be always from the core, as minimal as possible. And this is the basis of breathing, which helps your immune system. The less you breathe while regulating your breath, the better it is. So still you want to use the entire gamut of breathing muscles, but I'm not thinking suck my air in and out. I'm thinking move my trunk. So what I'm doing is I'm expanding the pelvic floor, the lower back, and the upper back. Then I expand my chest and my abdomen. Then I contract the lower abdomen, push in the lower back, push in the upper back, then contract the chest, contract the abdomen. So sometimes you hear me do 2 clicks for that. Expand, pelvic floor, lower back, upper back, 3 parts. Expand, chest, expand, abdomen, 2 more parts. Contract, lower abdomen, push in the lower back, push in the upper back, 3 parts. Contract chest, contract abdomen, 2 parts. Or sometimes you'll just hear me go, expand, 3 parts up the back, 2 parts down the front, contract. And often when I'm expanding, my hips are going up. When I'm compressing, my hips are going down. So you'll notice that. Expand, hips are extending, hips and contracting, going down. The expansion is connected to the hips because the front of the hips connect to the psoas, and the psoas is connected to your diaphragm. So when you get comfortable with this, it actually makes you breathe. And as you breathe in a regular way, it improves heart rate variability, and you start to get good balance in your nervous system, a balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic tone. Follow. Earth-sun movements. Come up on your heels, keep the hands close, expand back, then front. Go down on your toes, back, then front, gently narrowing. Come up on your heels, feel the back expand, feel the front expand. Go down on your toes, draw the lower abdomen in, push in the back, and then push in the front. Expand the back of the body, and that helps. So on the way up, you push your heels outwards. Then contract as you go down, and it helps if you push your heels inwards. On the way up, it's almost like you're turning your thighs gently inwards. On the way down, feel like you're gently trying to turn the thighs out. As you come up, feel like you're sucking energy into the hands. On the way down, feel like you're pushing energy out of your hands. So you keep a sense that the fingertips are always lengthened and they're always free to move. You're connecting with your fingers. So when I click 3 times, it means continue the movement. Continue the same movements. And you can make these movements bigger or smaller than me. So let's do a couple. So I make the movement smaller. I don't even lift the arm very high, just the shoulder. But notice I'm coming up on my heel to the middle of the feet, then down on the toes to the middle of the feet. Notice the shoulders go backward, then upward, and then forward and downward. They go down, back, and then up, forward. So always making a rolling action. So eventually, those bridges between the conscious and the unconscious are all working as one. So this movement is good to practice for even up to an hour by itself as a meditation. And it can be very gentle. It could be done in a chair. You can do it less than me, or you could do it even more intensely. If you want to, you could go all the way down. Now we're going to move to the fire sun. So the first part is to expand the back of the body. Second part, expand the front of the body. Third part, push the lower abdomen in and push the shoulders and hips forward. Fourth part, compress the front of the body. Expand the back of the body, shoulders down. Expand the front of the body, shoulders back. Lower abdomen, push in the back, shoulders go up. And then chest and abdomen go in, shoulders go forward. Come up on your heels. Expand the front of the body. Weight to the middle of the feet. Go down on your toes. Come to the middle of the feet. Feel heels squeezing out on the way up. Feel heels squeezing in on the way down. And you continue. 3 clicks means continue. If you can, you keep your eyes on me. So keeping the eyes on me while the spine moves actually means your neck is mobilizing. So as you go up here, I'm bringing my chin in. And when I go down, I start to lift the chin up. So the eyes always stay level. And notice, if you can, that on the way down, it's my lower abdomen that initiates the movement. On the way up, you can't see it, but I'm expanding my pelvic floor, my sacroiliac joint. Neck soft, face soft. And here I'm always leading with the palm. It almost feels like I'm pushing energy out of my palm. Soft throat, face, and eyes. And now we're going to do a movement which is combining water and air. So at the moment I'm going forward and backward and a little bit of up down. But now I'm going to combine side bending and twisting. And to do that, what I do is I move just one hand at a time. So if you try and copy me, I'm going to go up, then down once more, and now just move one hand. And as you move one hand, you feel the asymmetry of a twist and a side bend. And when the two arms are opposite, continue. As if you're doing freestyle swimming, but keep your hands about the same distance apart. And in the beginning, there's not much movement in your legs, and you can keep it that way. That's the safest way for the hips and for the knees. And I'll just turn sideways so you can see what I'm doing. Notice that my head is looking straight ahead the whole time, and my core is not actually moving. And I'll turn to face you so you can see. The core between the navel and the pubic bone is not moving. But above and below the core, the pubic bone and the navel are moving in opposite direction. I'm combining twisting with side bending. When the arms are same height from the floor, I'm more twisting. When the arms are vertically above each other, I'm more side bending. And it's like I'm doing freestyle swimming. Now, in the beginning, it's enough, and you can bend less or more. I can make just the shoulders do more of the movement. See, this is much easier. And I can keep my palms pretty much facing each other. And I feel the energy between the hands. Or I can make it more bigger. And what you can do is you can start to shift the weight. In the beginning, the core doesn't move. But if it's comfortable for your hips and knees, you can start to twist first to one side, and then take the whole body weight to that side. Start to twist the other side and take the whole body weight to the other side. So if you continue like this, you'll feel the weight shift from one leg to the other, but just be aware you must twist from the core before the core actually moves. And still I'm trying to keep my head looking at the same spot, which means actually my head is twisting. My neck is always going the opposite way to the spine. And I'll turn sideways so you can see again. And also from the sideways view, you'll see I'm not just going right leg, left leg. I'm going over my toes to the middle, then onto the heel of the upper leg. Then toes to the middle, heel of the opposite leg, toes to the middle of the feet, heel of the opposite leg. And as I'm doing that, notice the lower abdomen goes in as I move toward the heel, lower abdomen out as I move the toes. So the abdomen is moving in and out if you can get that mastery. And I'm thinking, relax, fingers, shoulders, neck, no stress, no tension. And now I'm going to move into a movement which I call the water sun. So it's called water because I'm just going to emphasize side bending. So right now, if you notice, my hands are about the same distance apart in both the horizontal and the vertical dimension. I'm going to emphasize the vertical dimension, which with one arm at a time creates side bending. So go up with one hand, then down. Up with the other hand, then down. And so it's like a long freestyle swimming. So the hands will be furthest away when they're apart going up and down, and closest together when they're in the twisting phase. So it's emphasis on side bending. And if you wish, you can keep your hips still, but if it's comfortable, you can actually move back and forth, and emphasizing on the side bending. So notice that when I lift one arm, that hip drops. When I lift the other arm's hip drops. And I'm leading with my palm the whole way. So the palm is pushing out energy in these sun movements mostly. And I think actively move from the core, breathe naturally, move fluidly, breathe from the core. Tense less, stretch less, breathe less, think less. And now I'm going to go back to the simple combination of both twisting and side bending. So my hands are the same distance apart. And I'm going to move into the next movement, which I call an air sun. So the emphasis will be on the horizontal axis, and I'm not going to go high or low with my hands. I'm going to emphasize twisting. So I'll face away from you first. And so I twist to one side and then compress back in the middle. Twist to the other side and then compress back to the middle. Expand, contract. Expand, contract. And so I'm making these movements. And if I want to, I could take the legs wider. And when you take the legs wider, it starts to look like poses which people are familiar with in modern yoga. The archer movements, the warrior movements. But they can be done sitting on a chair. They can be done just very simply. And I can make it so simple, and it makes it actually very, very easy to do. But what you want is always to stay engaged. Let me turn towards you again so you can see. Notice that my belly button and pubic bone are still moving in opposite directions, and they move before the arm moves. I'm always leading from the core, twisting. All right. And now we come to the sixth movement. The sixth movement is a combination of fire and air. So the fire is forward, backward bending, and the air is twisting. So what we do first is come back to the fire movement, forward, expand, backward, contract. Expand the back, expand the front, lower abdomen in, push in the back, chest, abdomen, push in the front. And now we combine it with a twist. Come up and down on the opposite side. Come up, turn, down the opposite side. Come up on the leg you're away from. Go down on the leg you're on that side. Come up on the back leg. Go down on the same leg. Come up on the back leg. Turn down on that leg. Come up on the back leg. Turn down on that leg. And continue. And what you want to do ideally is keep looking straight ahead. So I'm not actually changing my gaze, but I'm actually repositioning my neck. And when I do this, what happens is one nostril opens and one nostril closes. The up and down movements makes me inhale and then exhale, respectively. But because one nostril is more open and then one nostril more closed, this movement makes me breathe in through the right nostril and then breathe out through the left nostril. Breathe in through left nostril and then breathe out through right. It's a type of alternate nostril breathing without having to use your fingers. And then come back to a gentle fire movement. Come back to rest briefly. And now we're going to do the moon movements. The moon movements roll backwards. So first is Earth Moon. Come up, expand the back, bring the shoulders forward and up. Then move the shoulders back and expand the front. Lower abdomen in, bring the weight down on your heels, chest, abdomen in. So you go up on your toes to the middle of the feet. Down on your heels to the middle of the feet. Up on your toes, expand the back. Middle of the feet, expand the front. Down on your heels, push in the back. Down the middle of the feet, push in the front. And continue. Soft throat, face and eyes. Neck relaxed, face relaxed. Remember, you can make it easier by not lifting the arms. You can lift the shoulders and maybe the hands. And that's enough like that. Not everyone can move every part, so if you can't even lift the shoulders, just lift the hands. The most important movements come from the core. So notice I'm expanding the back, then the front, contracting, lower abdomen, pushing the back, then pushing the front. And that's a control that will come with time. But it will take a little bit of time, so it's good to use your arms and legs to help. If comfortable, go higher and lower. Always think expand, lengthen. Gently contract, but don't harden. Now we're going to move into the fire moon movement, combining forward bend backward with the flow of expand, contract. So you go expand the back, move over your toes. Expand the front, move to the middle of the feet. Lower abdomen, push in the back, take your lower back towards your heel. Chest and abdomen in, come to the middle of the feet. Expand, come up on your toes, shoulders up. Come to the middle of the feet, shoulders back. Lower abdomen in, bring your lower back over the heels, shoulders down. Chest and abdomen in, shoulders forward. And continue. Soft throat, face and eyes. Keep the eyes level if you can, so as you come up, the chin goes in. And as you go down, the chin goes up, so the eyes stay level. And as you go down, if possible, the lower abdomen is the first thing to initiate the movement. You hear it in every fitness class, engage the lower abdomen. But most people engage the upper, and that will just cause stress. So if you can't do it, just think, move from your lower back in a way which doesn't hurt. Think, always check that you can breathe into the abdomen, that you can relax the face, move your eyes, relax the throat, and you continue in a meditative way. Now we do the same thing, but with only one arm. So once you go up, go down, now just continue with one hand. And when you start doing one hand, it starts to feel like it's creating side bend, then twist. Now make the other hand follow. When the hands are horizontal, it's like a twist. Hands vertical, it's like a side bend. And if you continue keeping the hands about the same distance apart, it feels like backstroke swimming. And this we call the water air moon. Rolling backwards is the moon movement, and this calms you down and builds internal energy. The sun movements tend to stimulate you and give energy, a sense of energy, because you're expending it out. This one is a more building energy one. So sometimes it can make you sleepy. I'll notice if I look from the front, you can see that I'm not really moving my core yet. The core stays still where my finger touches, but above and below the core I'm moving in opposite directions. And that frees up my lower back. So this is a really good therapy for the lower back. Notice my shoulders are moving before the elbows. Shoulder lifts before the hand comes up. Hip drops before the shoulder lifts. The hip is slightly closer to the core. And these movements I can keep very, very small like this, or I can make them much bigger if I want to. It's up to you, but I mustn't feel tension. The movements can also include keeping the knees lower or higher. I can even move my hips, and then my core will move. So like doing the backstroke movement, I'm leading from the lower back, and if I want to, I can shift the weight over one leg, lead from the lower back, shift the weight to the opposite leg. And as I continue, the lower back is the first thing to move, the back of the core, and I'm shifting the weight from one leg to the other, but you must make sure your knees are okay to do this. For many people, it will hurt the knees. And then as we do this, and I'll turn sideways so you can see, notice I'm not just going left leg, right leg, I'm going toe, heel, toe, heel. And as I go over the toe, belly goes out. Over the heel, lower abdomen goes in. Toe, abdomen out. Heel, abdomen in. So you're leading from the core at the front as well. And the eyes stay pretty much in position. Soft throat, face and eyes. Now let's move to the water moon. So the water version is more emphasizing the vertical. So go up high, down low. Up high, down low. And you continue. The emphasis now on going up and down. Keep the fingertips lengthening. Soften the throat, face and eyes. By connecting with your fingertips, gentle movement will often help. That actually makes the blood go much better, because if the consciousness has to touch the fingertips, it had to travel through your elbows, wrists, shoulders to get there. But if your consciousness is only on your shoulders, you might completely bypass the fingertips. Fingertips control you so much. Connect your core to your extremities is a big clue. Now we move into the air moon. So the air moon emphasizes not the vertical, but the horizontal movement. So come back to a gentle ball of combining equally air with water or twisting with side bending, and then emphasize, and I'll turn backwards so you can see, emphasize the twisting. So we go twist, back to the center, twist, back to the center. And so you're moving back and forth, soft throat, face and eyes. And if I want to, I can keep the hips still, or I can let the hips move as well. Soft throat, face and eyes. And sense the shoulders are rolling backwards, like a bicycle rolling backwards. Make sure your knees are safe. Make sure your face is safe. And now we come to the final movement. And the final movement, the 12th one, is the fire, air, moon. So come back to fire. Expand back, expand front. Lower abdomen push in the back. Chest, abdomen push in the front. Expand the back. Expand the front. Lower abdomen push in the back. Chest, abdomen, push in the front, and we add a twist. Expand back, expand front, come down on the back leg. Come up, up, down the back leg. Up, down. Up on the toes and the front of one leg, down on the heels and the back of the other leg. And you continue. And if possible, keep the eyes straight ahead. So that means the movements will turn the neck. And as the neck stays still in space, the actual neck joint had to move, and it compresses the right and left side of the nose, and it makes you, in this case, have alternate nostril breathing. As the hips go up and down, that triggers the psoas to connect with your diaphragm. As the right side and left side of the nose get compressed by the neck, that means inhalation and exhalation take place, preferentially very, very small amounts, through the alternate nostrils. And it gives a type of alternate nostril breathing, which is really good to regulate the nervous system. Come back to the earth, moon, up, away from the body, down, close to the body. Up, away from the body, down, close to the body. Relax. And be slightly modified. Go forward and up, palms face each other. Go outward and up, palms face each other. Go downward, palms face the floor. Go inward, palms face each other. I'll turn sideways so you can see the 4 phases. Go forward, fingers close without touching, check the fingers can move. Go outward, shoulders relax. Go downward, check the neck is free. Come inwards, check your face is relaxed, pelvic floor, abdomen relaxed. 2 more. Fingers can move. Shoulders can roll. Neck is free. Pelvic floor relaxed, face relaxed. And as you move the hands close, see if you can feel the heat of the blood between the hands. The more you relax, the more you'll feel it. As you go down, see if you can feel almost like you're pushing energy out of your hands. And when the hands come closer, maybe you don't just feel heat, you might feel almost like a pressure wave perhaps. Pause there. And now check. Can you feel heat between the hands without touching them? Then go one hand up, one hand down. And do you feel maybe almost like a magnet? Some people feel this. Some people don't. It took me a while to feel. But most people, if you're a bit sensitive, not a lump like me, will feel it almost immediately. This is the prana, the chi, the energy inside you, the nature of electromagnetic, piezoelectric effect coming in each cell of the body. The cells are membrane-encased structures, and the membranes have a lattice-like crystalline structure, and crystals are affected by pressure, blood pressure. And so crystals generate energy, and you might feel that. So now, release the hands. And we're going to just finish this part by just releasing our legs. So what I want you to do is very carefully come to the floor. So just tighten your legs, go up again. Expand the front. Relax. Tighten your legs, squeeze the thighs in, tighten the knees and go down. Sit on the floor. And I'm going to ask you just to let the blood drain away from your legs. So if you need to, you just lie and relax. But if you can, I want you to come onto your elbows, rest the lower back onto the floor, and if comfortable, it's not comfortable for everyone, bring your knees above the hips and perhaps straighten the legs. Now, if you can stay here for half a minute, you'll find the blood drains from your legs. It gives you energy back, like inversions do, like legs up the wall might. You could do a leg up the wall position. Now, if not comfortable, bend the knees. If still not comfortable, put the feet on the floor. You could even lie on your back briefly and have the knees bent or up, perhaps, if you find it better. But if possible, the best one is lower back on the floor and legs up. And then with the lower back on the floor, you'll feel your front is firm, but your sides are soft. It has to be, and that releases your lower back. Then once the legs have drained for a little bit, move them, rotate them. See, I'm rotating the ankles and the knees and the hips. I can even add the arms. And I check the neck is free. So fingers can move, neck can move, tummy can breathe, and I'm calm. Fingers can move, shoulders can move, neck can move, pelvic floor relaxed, tummy can breathe, and I'm calm. And then other direction. And it helps you move blood. It also helps you reset the nervous system. And then release. And come to sit up straight, facing me. And it's a good chance just to tighten the legs. Now I'm going to ask you to sit for a minute. And you can, if you want, sit on a chair. But those who can, you can stay legs apart if it's really comfortable to sit up straight, but for most people it won't be. So better just lean back, tighten the knees by bending them, and then cross your legs. Okay? And we can sit cross-legged, but better is to have the knees no higher than the hips if possible. So you adjust yourself however you like. If you prefer, you can do what I sometimes do, which is to kneel. And so when you're kneeling then, the kneeling position is actually very nice because your hips are above the knees and blood flows, if it feels comfortable. Sitting on a bolster is good, sitting on a chair is fine too. But we sit for a few minutes like this. And then I'm going to get you to lie down. Now, when you're lying down, it's a good thing to release the back. So say you're sitting, don't bend forward to release by arching the back. Don't bend forward by lifting the tailbone. Push the sitting bones down, expand the belly, and then take the legs a bit forward and just reach forward. First, bending from the spine, not so much from the hips, leading from the navel. And then take your hands forward, bring the head down, and then lift the upper back, anchor the sitting bones, expand the belly, chest and throat, and rub the hands, wipe the face of early sweat, and then just lie down. You can lie down briefly with your knees bent, or if you prefer, legs straight. And what I'm going to do is to begin again, and we're going to do this practice a little bit quicker. It's probably going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. But I want you to relax first. So just lie down for a little bit longer. And I want you just to really relax. And in a few moments, I'm going to get you to sit back up, kneeling or cross-legged. And we'll start again. And remember that this time I'm not going to talk. I want you to make it a meditative practice, which means tense less, stretch less, breathe less, think less, flow more, move actively, move from the core, breathe naturally or breathe from the core, and move fluidly, gracefully, artistically. You can bend more or less than me. If you want to, you go all the way down to a full squat, but for most people that risks knee injuries. I'm keeping it fairly simple because it's not so much exercise you want. You want to move blood while emphasizing being relaxed. And this gives you so many more benefits than just exercise alone does. Obviously, it's good to be fit and strong, but I'm 62 this year. I'm fit and strong enough to do the things I want to do. And I'm more interested in harnessing energy and making sure my immune system, digestive, reproductive system are working. So that's why I say tense less, stretch less, breathe less, think less. And as we're practicing, if you don't think you're stretching or don't think you're tensing muscle, yet you're moving actively, it actually builds strength without feeling tense, builds flexibility without feeling stretch, and you'll get blood flow without your heart racing. So all your goals will be actually attended to. You'll get more strong and flexible, but the trick is not to make that your goal. Enjoy the journey, not the destination. Let the strength and flexibility be a byproduct, not your aim. All right, I'm going to ask you to come out of this sitting now, of this lying down position, but I'm going to also tell you how I'm going to get you out later on when I'm not talking. I make 4 humming sounds. So at the end of the next practice, which will take about 15 minutes, you'll hear me get you to lie down first. And when you're lying down, you can't see me. But what you'll hear is this hum sound. And this first hum means stay relaxed, but move the fingers and toes gracefully, artistically. I'll pause. Then you hear a second hum. My second hum means stay relaxed, but bend the knees, flatten the back to the floor, stay relaxed. You can do that now. And then my third hum means stay relaxed, but gently roll to the side, curl up in a ball, maybe hand under the side of the head, relax. Do that now. And then the fourth hum means sit back up, kneeling or cross-legged or on a chair and face towards me with the eyes open. And then Top of the hips back, ribs back, abdomen soft, shoulders relaxed. And I want you to check fingers can move, shoulders can roll, neck is free. In a moment, we'll start again. And remember, this practice is for you. But one of the reasons I'm giving a free class is because people around me, people all around the world are suffering. And I wanted to ask maybe if anyone could perhaps contribute something, maybe just a thought. But if possible, some financial aid would be really useful, not for me, but for the people in my community who have been gravely stricken by massive floods, loss of houses, landslides, roads and bridges just torn out from underneath people. And so a little bit of help would be of great value wherever you are in the world. And I'm happy to share more with you as well. And if you can't donate funds, maybe a good thought, maybe as we practice, maybe at the end when we sit together or stand together in silence, and I ask you to close the eyes, just for a moment, send some good energy and loving information to the people who are going through so much, both the ones around me, which I've told you about, but also there is war around the world, poverty, many sorts of things that are causing problems. So spare a thought for the other people in the world. But do it in a way which is positive. Make your practice now to be having the purpose of sharing good energy and loving information inside yourself. The good energy is blood flow with a low heart rate. And the loving information is a dominance of your parasympathetic nervous system, that rest, rejuvenation, relaxation, regeneration mode, which is so good for immune health, digestive, reproductive health. You'll live long and prosper if this is working for you. And once you've shared good energy, loving information inside yourself, at least at the end when we close our eyes, send that energy to other people in the world, the ones you know and care about, the ones you know but don't care about, the ones you don't even know, especially the people in need. Share the love. Okay. I want you to keep facing me. I'm going to turn sideways. And I'm going to ask you to now close your eyes, draw inwards, and focus for half a minute. And then I'm going to turn some gentle music on, and I'm going to ask you to follow my clicks and movements. One click means follow, but stay relaxed. 3 clicks means keep following the pattern. Bigger or smaller than me, slower or faster than me, but keep it safe. And occasionally I'll do 2 clicks, and the 2 click means follow me, but just note that my body is contracting. Meaning as the body contracts, it will tend to make air go out of my body. Not much. Don't force the breath. The less you breathe, the better. But just observe. Expansion will cause air to come in, and contraction tends to cause air to go out. But if you look at me, I can look like I'm expanding. From the front, it looks like I'm breathing. I'm using my chest, my trunk, my abdomen, but I can do it with or without breathing. So I want you to think, not breathe, but just gently change the volume of your trunk. Keep it relaxed and move with it is enough. Okay, so close your eyes, and when the first click happens, I want you to open your eyes and follow. You could stay sitting if you want, but it's better if you stand if you can. Thank you very much for sharing that practice with me. It's been a difficult couple of weeks. We've been in a pseudo state of alertness for a couple of years. And, most of Australia, where I live, there wasn't that much going on really, even though it was a major emergency event according to the authorities. But what I found was that no matter what people thought, everyone thought differently. And the last 2 years were full of antagonism, families fighting against families over their decisions about medical conditions, etc. Friends fighting against best friends. That type of world emergency, which was very pushed by the mainstream media, it tore people apart. But the funny thing is, right now, there's things going on around the world which are bringing people together. And this is not talked about in the media much. There's been hardly any press coverage of what's really going on near where I live, and other parts of the world too. But I'll tell you about what I know. And that's that the people around me are suffering immensely after massive, massive storms, which left floods up to 17 meters deep, like 2-story buildings underneath them. Thousands of people lost homes. One of my community's friends with the community in the hills just behind here. In fact, the people who own this beautiful space that I've been teaching for the last few years, this is Kristen and Jason, thank you very much, the Living Yoga Sangha in Mullumbimby. This was almost taken over, the building got flooded underneath, but in the hills on their property, half of a mountain just collapsed. And many houses got destroyed, and at least one person, their next door neighbor, was crushed to death by a landslide crushing their house. And while she was asleep in the middle of the night, bless you, Heather, really, really, she's such a beautiful lady, and she just disappeared. But this emergency, which we're seeing all around us, is a real emergency. And the difference is that with real emergencies, people come together. And the most beautiful things I've seen the last few days is of people enduring extreme hardship and many grave risks to cross uneven land and to cross flooded waters to try and bring help sometimes by flying fox, pulley, raft, kayak, canoe, swimming, climbing over mountains that might collapse underneath them to reach the people who are still stuck out there. And there's thousands of people homeless, many people are still missing, many people unaccounted for. And but what's happening is the community is coming together and everyone's helping each other. And for various reasons, I haven't been able to help. And I really got called by this. And, so all I can do is do my simple practice, it seems. And I like sharing it. So I just wanted to give it to you. And what I find with it is it brings community together. It's wonderful in the world when people come together, and individual consciousness, group as a whole, and people power, especially when it's loving people power, shows what it can do. But it's actually really much easier to make that happen in the world if you make it start within yourself. And so the practices I've offered you are to create individual consciousness in each individual cell and make every one of the 50 trillion cells inside you share good energy and loving information with every other cell. So the body starts to feel like a community, and sharing good energy means improving blood flow, and getting loving information means the dominance of your parasympathetic nervous system. This, after 50 years of practice and 40 years of teaching posture, movement, breathing, mental control in various forms as a yoga teacher of physiotherapy, and someone who studied from Japan, China, Tibet, India, indigenous cultures all over the world. I think this is a pathway that indigenous traditional people all over the world have achieved a meditative state where you feel sustainable, engaging, calming, effortless, but invigorating activities. Could be stationary, but we did it moving is easier. Did you feel like you were getting warm without your heart racing? I hope so. Did you feel like you were calm, even though you were doing something? So we lay at the end, but you still felt calm. Did you feel like it was strengthening, but your focus should have been on relax? The journey is important, not the destination. Don't use strength and flexibility as goals in your practice. If you practice like this, you do half an hour every day, you get stronger, you get more flexible. And if you want to, you can make it harder, like maybe 10% of the time. Instead of doing this, I make the movements of the arms bigger, like really bigger. And I make the movements of the spine more definite. The movements of the hips can go all the way to a squat. And even though right now I'm keeping my head neutral, I could make my head go up last, my head come down last. And then you're doing movements, which you can do really slow. And notice my abdomen moving in and out. I'm contracting and expanding. But I can also do it very, very fast if I want. And fast means that you have fun and momentum and gravity start coming along too. So you can make this as intense as you like or as gentle as you want. You can put your hands on the floor and just move the core. It's so much fun. I'd love to share it with you more. So take this video, play it, enjoy it, look after it. If you want more, write to me. And if you have the feeling, the time or the space, please go to the link below and click on the GoFundMe link, and I'm going to make sure that money's going to go exactly where it's needed into the community, to build infrastructure, to help with people who have nothing at the moment as well. And so if you can help, it's fantastic. If all you give is just a meditative thought of sending good energy and love to the people in the world who are suffering at the moment, both here and around the world, then thank you. And if you want to, share it with your friends. And if, you pay money to go to a class, so if someone feels like taking this and contributing something, not to me, but to some other people who need real help, that would be really, really good. And I want to say thank you all, and keep sharing good energy and loving information throughout the world. Start with yourself, work outward. And if you can't love yourself first, you can't love other people. If you can't give yourself energy, you're not going to help other people with it. So this is a good mode I found. Thank you very much, and love you all, and talk to you another time soon. Write to me if you want. Bye.